Hi, I'm Rachel from Gentle Frog. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more content. If you're having issues with your bookkeeping, please follow the link at the end of the video to schedule a one-on-one appointment with me. Thank you. In today's series of videos, I'm going to show you what it's like to be a small business owner and to set up your accounting software after you've been in business for about a year. In this series of examples, I'm going to own a business called Gentle Frog's Fantasy Pet Shop. At my fantasy pet shop, I sell things such as unicorns, dragons, mermaids, sphinx, jackalope, and shoelace snakes. So please join me on this journey of setting up accounting software and getting data in. Thank you. I'm going to start a new tab and just Google QuickBooks Online pricing. So the first option, quickbooks.intuit.com/pricing. That seems pretty good. We'll go ahead and click on that. Now I can see there's these various options. I see on the right there's self-employed. I know from talking to my bookkeeper that I definitely don't want self-employed. The little gap between these small business products and this freelancer product means that you can never turn the freelancer product into a small business product. It's its own little standalone island. But again, my bookkeeper said it's not a great product and therefore we won't be considering it. Now we're going to look at the other options. There's Simple Start, there's Plus, and there's Advanced. My business is a small business that sells fantasy pets. These are fantasy pets, so there is no inventory. I don't have a service that I need to keep track of hours. I just sell my magical pets. So let's get rid of this pop-up. So all of these QuickBooks Online products will let me track my income and expenses, capture my receipts, invoices, mileage, cash flow, reports, estimates, etc. So the difference between Simple Start and Plus, it looks like Plus lets me manage and pay bills. I'm a small business. I don't need help keeping track of my bills. I can just set things up on auto pay or write checks as needed. I can track time, but I don't really need to for my business. I can have 5 users. Not applicable. It's just me, and then I'll invite my accountant or bookkeeper. It doesn't say so on here, but you can invite your accountant or bookkeeper without needing to upgrade to one of the higher tiers. I'll show you what that looks like when we get there. Project profitability, not applicable, and inventory is not applicable. As I look at this list, this stuff might be interesting for me, but at $150 a month, it's really not something my small business can entertain. So it looks like what I need to do is set up Simple Start. Simple Start will cost me $25 a month. Right now, this $12 is the 50% off for 3 months. I can either have 50% off for 3 months, which is $12.50 for 3 months, or I can have a free trial for 30 days. I'm going to toggle to free trial for 30 days because really I just want to see how this works before I commit to buying a software. I'm going to start with QuickBooks Online and then look at QuickBooks Desktop, look at FreshBooks and Xero. So I'm kind of going to try a couple of things before I pick the software that's best for me. So I'm just toggling to free trial. I recognize that means it will be $25 a month at the end of 30 days. I'm going to go ahead and choose Select. So now it's asking me what kind of payroll I want. I've looked around. It's just me. I don't have any team members. I do not need payroll. So I'm going to say continue without payroll. So here's what I'm getting. I'm getting Simple Start, correct. Getting no payroll, correct. Live bookkeeping setup, not available for the free trial. That's okay. I don't want QuickBooks Live bookkeeping setup. I want to do it myself. I'm going to choose Checkout. So you have to create an email address. So we'll go Rachel plus Gentle Frog Fantasy Pet Shop at gentlefrog.com. My email domain is a Google domain. If you have a Google domain, if you ever need to set up a temporary email account for something, you can do +sign and then whatever else you need. So that's what we're doing here. Password. All right. Let us wait while the code comes in. 7, continue. It says instantly see your profits. I don't think that's true. I feel like I'm going to need to do some work before I see my profits. Okay, so we've got the setup guide. Let's go ahead and click next. Business name. This is definitely not our business name. Gentle Frogs Fantasy Pet Shop. I want to pull over desktop data. No, I just have everything in Google Sheets right now. So I'm going to choose next. What is my role? I am the owner. Does someone help me with my books? I'm going to say no. I do it all by myself. Who helps me run my business? Well, me. And next. And then what do I want to do? Let's go ahead and get started using QuickBooks. See all my stuff, link accounts. I actually don't have a business bank account, so I'm going to say skip. What kind of business is it? Well, it's make-believe, but we'll pretend that it's a sole proprietor. And then how does your business make money? Well, we're going to say we sell products. What does your business do? What's my industry? Pet? Ooh, pet and pet supply stores. What do I want to set up next? Let's invoice customers. My options are invoice customers or track receipts and bills. I think invoice customers because I don't have any receipts or bills to enter, but I definitely have old customer invoices. So let's do this. What matters most? I'd say looking professional. Invoice from anywhere, set up the mobile app. I'm not going to set up the mobile app. The real reason for not setting up the mobile app is that I cannot do any sort of screen recording on the mobile app. I have various softwares that let me screen record on my Android phone, but QuickBooks, it is blocked in some way that I can't explain and don't care enough to find a workaround for. So that's why you don't see me making a video about how to use the mobile app for QuickBooks Online. If programmers at Intuit want people like me to make videos on that, they'll make it so that it's not blocked when I try to use a screen recorder. Okay, back to my pet shop owner self. I'm going to choose next. What else do I want to set up? Let's see here. None of these things do I want to set up. Oh, but I have to pick something. Let's add sales. I don't know what that means, but we'll try it. Perfect. So it's setting things up for us. I'm looking at my email and I don't see an email confirming that we've set this up. Welcome to QuickBooks. So earlier you saw me enter an email and a password and verify with my phone number. I'm really hoping I got my email right because, like I said, there's been no verification email yet. So let's take a look. First thing I see is there's a spot for my logo. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. This takes me into account and settings. So up here, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a little box that says logo, and this is where it'll let me put my logo in. So I click on the pencil, click on the plus. Lots of clicking to be done. Click again. What I'm trying to do is simulate what I see my clients do, which is have everything organized in Drive, but need to put it into accounting software. So I'm going to say open, add my logo. Save. Company name, Gentle Frogs Fantasy Pet Shop. I saw that on the main page. I don't know why it doesn't show up here. I don't have an EIN, and I'm certainly not putting my social in here for this video. So I'm going to choose save, and I'm going to choose done. Oh, here's where I can verify my email address, and that is correct. So I don't know. Maybe we'll get an email. All right. So now I can see my logo in the upper left-hand corner. That's fantastic. Wait for this to finish opening. Okay, so there's a setup guide. The setup guide says connect things to your bank, blah, blah, blah. We're not connecting to a bank. If you'd like to see what it's like to connect to a bank, I have other videos that do showcase that, but for the purpose of this, I don't have a bank to connect to. So connect with an accountant. I'm not going to do that right now either. And then add finishing touches. So I don't need any of this. Connecting with an accountant, just as a side note, is an incredibly helpful thing to do. If you don't already have an accountant or bookkeeper or person who helps you, I recommend that you get one. You can find one by clicking My Experts, interview people, find the right fit for you, and then you can add them here and they can have access to your QuickBooks in addition to you having access to it. So if you get stuck, you can get help. So I'm just going to click on Hide because I'm done with my setup guide. So now there's really nothing in here yet. I can do a couple of things. I can start customizing, my chart of accounts or the list of things I sell, or you can start adding my old bank detail, or I can start adding my old banking data, or I can add old receipts for customers. I can really just do whatever makes the most sense for me or whatever I want to do. So let's take a look at banking, for example. On the right-hand side, I can see that there's two bank accounts and they both have a $0 balance, and that's not true. My make-believe business does have money in it. Let's add our bank account. On the left-hand side is the word accounting, and then when that pop-out menu appears, we can click on Chart of Accounts. The first time we do this, we get the truck and it says take a peek under the hood, so we do. We say see your chart of accounts. This little box that says you're using 0 of 250 accounts included in your plan, find out how to manage your usage or upgrade to advanced. You might recall from the beginning of this video that the advanced is the addition of QuickBooks Online that costs $150 a month. Our business doesn't need that, and chances are we will not exceed the 250 accounts. So I'm just going to close this little pop-out reminder. Again, opportunities to connect with an accountant. We don't need to connect with anyone. I'm going to go ahead and close this. I don't have a bank account here. I know that when we were looking at the dashboard, we saw a bank over here on the right. And once you're set up, these will link to your bank account. It'll take you to that spot. There just isn't one on the chart of accounts, so we need to add one. So I'm going to click on the New in the upper right-hand corner. The account type I'm going to use is bank. The bank is going to be checking for, let's just keep it simple. Let's just say checking. The detail type doesn't matter. I'm going to change it to checking just to entertain myself, but it really does not matter. The description doesn't matter. In my opinion, if you need to put a description in, you should come back and give it a different name. The name should always make sense to you, so you don't need to put a little description here. Sub-account is so you can set up an account and then have accounts underneath it. Doesn't really make sense for a checking account. And then when do I want to start tracking finances? You know what? Beginning of this year. What was your account balance? This, not so good. So let's just not worry about that. We're going to choose Save and Close. So now I have a checking account. It has $0 in it. I could manually enter everything, but I'm not going to. So let me show you the register. When I click to the right, it says View Register. And there's more pop-ups. And I can add checks, I can add deposits, I can do all these things. That seems like a lot of work. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload the CSV I got from my make-believe bank. So let me pop over here, grab this again. It's my fantasy pet shop. And then statements. I have my bank statements, and here's my CSV. So this is what I have. I have downloaded from my bank. I used Random Generator to get this information. I have this tab. Oh, my internet. All right. So this is what it might look like for you. You might go to your bank website. You might download a CSV file for your checking, your savings, your credit card, whatever. And it'll have the date and the description, the deposits, the withdrawals, and maybe a running balance. So this is what I have. And so I'm just going to do this. I'm going to say download Excel. I should have downloaded it as a CSV. Download CSV. All right. So to import that, I'm going to go back to my dashboard. I don't need to go to my dashboard. I just wanted you to see how this looks different on the right-hand side. On the right-hand side, it now says checking, and I can click on it, and it'll take me to my checking register. So helpful, but not great. To import it, and this is not intuitive, I'm going to click on transactions on the left-hand side, and then I'm going to click on the word banking. If you're watching this video and it doesn't look like this for you, you might see the word banking on the left, followed by the word banking again. So there's video about stuff, and I can connect the account. Again, I have a make-believe account. I used random number generator to come up with my numbers. I don't have a real bank account to connect. So instead, I'm going to say, you know what? I'd like to just upload my transactions. So I choose upload transactions. I have two options. I can either get the info from my bank and upload it, or I can connect to my bank. In this case, I'm going to get the info and upload it. This is why I had to go back and download the CSV and not the Excel file, because it's the CSV that I can upload, but it cannot upload the Excel file. I'm going to choose Browse. Let me see which one of these is the one. So this one, I should never have downloaded the other one. And then I'll click Next. And it says, which account is this? If I hadn't already made an account called checking, I could make one now and say add new and say checking account. But I'll just say, oh, it's that one I've already made called checking. So I'd like to put the data from the CSV into the QuickBooks account called checking. I'll click Next. So now he wants to map the fields. So all the things that I have in my CSV file, and I'll pull it back over so you can see it. So your statement fields just means in the Excel file you've provided or the CSV file you've provided, what should we map? And so the column called date, it says select a date format. Our date format is the dashes, so month, dash, year. So what I can see in this QuickBooks is that it has QuickBooks has 4 Ys for year, and our CSV file has 2 Ys for year. That might be a problem, and if it is, we'll just go back and modify the CSV. And then for amount, I have separate columns for positive and negative numbers. So money spent is in the withdrawals column, and money received is in the deposits column. So I choose Next. And then this red box just says something is not right, and you need to fix it. I didn't fix this before starting the video because this sort of thing happens, and I wanted you to see what it's like when it happens so we can fix it together. So we'll just say, no problem, we got this. We'll come back to our thing. All I did to make the dates correct is I went to Format, and then Number, and then down here to Date, and then it makes the dates correct. So I'm just going to wipe out the word CSV so I don't confuse myself. I'm going to go File, Download, CSV. Now I've got another one here in my Downloads folder. So this is my Downloads folder. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete the 2 that I don't need because I don't want to confuse myself. So now we'll navigate back to the QuickBooks Online. So we're here. It's going to go back and back and back. And back here, I'm just going to browse. I'm going to grab the new file, the one I've just downloaded after correcting the dates. And I'll say Next, and it remembers checking. Remembers that I have 2 columns, so withdrawal and deposits and Next. All right. So it says transactions with an amount of $0 cannot be imported. Well, that seems legitimate. I'm okay with that. Here's everything else. Here's the stuff that they're not going to import. Okay, that's no problem. So this one on 9/7, let's just take a look. So, oh, I guess I do. I just have a 0. Sample data is not always perfect data. We'll go ahead and choose Next. It says 97 transactions be imported. That's great. I was shooting for 100, so I got close. Awesome. It says the next step is to accept your transactions. So let's click on Let's Go. QuickBooks Online is trying to help us and walk us through what to do. I'm going to click Close because I don't want it to do that. I want to show you what we're seeing here. The UI for the screen changes from day to day, from client to client. It just looks slightly different each time. If that happens to you, don't stress it. The nuts and bolts of it are usually the same. It's just some stuff like this top part. For us, we have this drop down. Other times, you might see little blue and white boxes. So don't worry if it looks slightly different for you than what you're seeing on this video. So what we see as we look down here is information provided by QuickBooks, or information that we've uploaded into QuickBooks. And so I can see Cub, $9,000. It's recommending I assign it to rent or lease. I have all this stuff. And what I want you to know is none of this stuff appears in your QuickBooks yet. So to verify that, we're going to go to Accounting and then Chart of Accounts. And we're going to look at our bank register. So I'll click on View Register. I'll get rid of the pop-up. And I can see there's nothing in my register yet. Even though this stuff is sitting here and it's in QuickBooks, it's not yet in my QuickBooks. It doesn't show up on any of my reports or on my register. So let's look down the list. We have these transactions. We have a date, a description, amount, and an assigned to. Assigned to means what's the category, or said differently, what's the account on the chart of accounts that we should assign this money in or this money out to. What you don't see, and what I find to be a little bit bothersome as I channel my inner bookkeeper, is you don't see a place to put the payee name. So if I say that Cub is for rent, I'll just click on confirm and assign it to rent. I'm going to scroll up a little bit and click on Go to Bank Register. I want you to see what I'm concerned about. So when I say Go to Bank Register, I can now see that I've given money to Cub, but the payee is blank. Said differently, why I'm concerned about that is that I can't pull up any sort of report that says how much money did I give to Cub. I can't generate a report that says I need to issue a 1099. How much money did I give to Cub? So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. I'm going to delete it. It's going to put it right back to where it started. I'm going to go back to where I was. All right. What I'm going to encourage you to do as you look at this is come over here to the right-hand side and click on the tiny gear. I call this the tiny gear and I call this the big gear. They're just a little bit different in size, but I needed something to differentiate them. On the right-hand side, I'll have you click on the tiny gear. I'll have you click the column for payee. If you're writing paper checks, you should also click on the column for check number, so that way your check number appears. As I look down, I can change the number of lines I see. Currently I see 50. I can change it to see 300. We know we've only uploaded 97, so 300 doesn't really matter to me. I'm going to click on the gear again to get it to go away. What I now see is the column for payee is blank, but it gives me a chance to enter the payee name. When I click on the line anywhere here that is not the word confirm, it'll take this transaction and it'll open it up for me. When it opens it up, I can see there's a spot for vendor customer. In the box in gray text, it says select payee. Payee is who got the money. In this case, it's Cub. And I know it's Cub because that's what it says here in the description. So Cub is not on my list because nobody is on my list right now. So I'm going to type in Cub LLC. A little pop-up appears saying add Cub. So I say, yeah, add, please. And then it says, well, is it a vendor, as in someone you give money to? Is it a customer, someone who's given you money? Or is it an employee? I'm going to say it's a vendor. I'm not going to enter any details such as their address or phone number. I'm sure as the world not going to connect my Gmail account. So I'm just going to click Save. So then QuickBooks suggests that the reason I gave them $9,000 was for rent. I don't know why I gave them $9,000 because I used a random name generator to give me the list of names. So this is an imaginary company with an imaginary dollar amount purchasing imaginary stuff. But QuickBooks is making the recommendation that I spent the money on rent. What I want you to look at this and say is, why did I spend the money rather than relying on QuickBooks to be correct? It has no idea. Cub LLC doesn't exist. None of these vendors exist. In this example, we'll say that it's rent because it's a perfect number for rent. It's a horribly expensive number for rent, but it's a good number for rent for this example. So I'll choose confirm. I realize as I'm doing this that I'm working on December. I have a whole year's worth of data to get through. And it's going to feel very discouraging if I do a bunch of December stuff and I can't pull up any reports from the early part of the year and I can't start reconciling because I haven't entered any of that yet. What I'm going to do for myself is I'm going to click on the date. And when I click on date, it will sort things from descending to ascending order. So now I start with January. Stop me if you've heard this one, but the very first deposit in your business comes from you. So this deposit, QuickBooks is suggesting comes from sales. And I'm suggesting this deposit came from me. So I'm going to click on the deposit and I'm going to change the category of sales. And I'm going to look for something that says the Bank of Rachel. So I'm going to scroll up and I'm going to scroll down and I eventually find owner's investment. Whenever I've invested money into my sole proprietorship, that's an owner's investment. If you have a different type of entity, it might be different. You might have different words in here. You might say Rachel's investment or whatever the case is. The most important part is that when you invest money into your business, the italicized text on the right says equity. You can work out the details with your accountant later if the name is wrong or perhaps it should go into a different category. But if you're not sure and you're just getting started, you'll be okay if you put stuff into equity. You definitely do not want to put it into sales because you didn't sell yourself anything. You put money into the business because you were getting the business started. So let me enter my name. I know that it says customer. I'm not really a customer. I use vendor. Whenever I'm entering the owner's name, I make the type vendor. And I do that because it's easier for me to pull reports later. So I'm going to click on save. I'm intentionally skipping over stuff like tags and memo because I don't want to overwhelm you. I want to make this video to be most representative of what it's like for a new business owner to set up their QuickBooks and enter a year's worth of data. I'm going to go ahead and choose confirm on the right. So now let's enter a few more things. So I've got Collins and deposit. So let's take a look. Collins Inc. And then what do we buy from Collins? Contractors is okay, but let's say we bought professional services. Who cares what they are? But we'll say that there's some amazing professional service. So we'll click confirm. And now we get to this deposit and we start to think, okay, some of these deposits are money that I've put into the business, but some of them are money from customers. I made sales back in the beginning of this imaginary year, and I need to log those sales. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my list of sales that I made, also known as go back to my Google folder. So where we left off, we were looking at the Drive folder and we were looking at our bank statements. That's helpful, but not yet until we get our info in. So let's go to our invoices. And we have these invoices. So let's go ahead and download these. I've downloaded my invoices, and I remember that this 1073 and this 5668, those are both sales to customers. What I want to do just to make sure I don't double up and record my sales twice is just put a pause on the banking and go enter those previous sales into QuickBooks. So to enter a sale into QuickBooks or a previous invoice that I've created, I'm going to click on plus new in the upper left-hand corner. I'm going to come down under the customers column and click on invoice. It's going to bring up an invoice template in a second here. This is my invoice template, so it gives me a chance to enter my... Before we can get started, there's pop-ups. So let's go ahead and walk through this. We'll click on get started. How do I want to send invoices? I'm going to say that we print and mail. We probably won't print and mail. I just don't want to email these invoices to anyone. This one, I'll create invoices for my accounting, but I won't send any. That's exactly what we're doing. I'm going to choose next. How do I want to get paid? I'm going to say check and cash, and then finish. Let's go ahead and close that pop-up, and we'll close this pop-up. Okay, so let me open up my first invoice. Uno momento. Okay, so my first invoice is for Brian Gatner. Brian purchased from us on January 5th, bought some fantasy animals. So I'm just going to scoot this over to my second screen and start entering stuff. So the customer in the upper left-hand corner. Who's my customer? It's Brian Gatner. Just like before, I'm going to choose to not enter details, and I'm not going to connect my Gmail account. I'm going to click Save. I'm going to skip over the email. I could enter an email and I could email this to my client, but I'm not going to. My invoice date is 1/5/20. My invoice number is 100. Product or service. This is where QuickBooks asks, what did I sell to my client? So let me go back to my invoice and take a look. So I sold a unicorn, a shoelace snake, and a dragon. So let me go ahead and scoot this back. So the first thing I sold was a unicorn. So let's enter it. Unicorn. Unicorn is not in list of things I sell. Because this is a brand new QuickBooks file, QuickBooks doesn't know what I sell and I have to tell it. I'm going to go ahead and say add unicorn. Because this is QuickBooks Simple Start, QuickBooks gives me the option of 2 ways to sell my product. I can either say that my product is a non-inventory product or what I'm selling is a service. So non-inventory product is what I have here. It's not a service. So I'm just going to select non-inventory. And I give it a name. I could give it a SKU, I could give it a category, and I can give it a default description. To the right, I can give it a picture, which of course you know I'm going to because I think it'll be fun. So let's do that. Let's go back to here, Fantasy Pet Shop, go to the animals. This is my unicorn, so I'm going to download it. Let's go ahead and click on this pencil. We'll add the unicorn. There's our unicorn picture. Description, fantasy unicorn. And then the sales price. I know the sales price both from my website and from my invoice. It's $100. Now over here on the right, it says income account, and by default it says sales. What QuickBooks is asking is, when you look at your profit and loss, what kind of income account do you want to see for this? So I can just say, you know what, this is sales income. If, for example, if I was selling different products or different services, maybe I'd want to have fantasy animal income and then real animal income, or any variety combinations. So that's all I need for here. I'm going to choose save and close. So one fantasy unicorn, see how that description defaults. The quantity you can override any of this. And then the rate defaults. So in this case, they purchased 20 of them. And I'm just going to speed through and enter the rest of these.